When we talk about classics in video games, we normally think about Super Smash Bros., Sonic the Hedgehog, Half-Life, Crash Bandicoot and Halo. These are all iconic games that have defined us and gaming as a whole. But we often forget to look at smartphones and take mobile games into consideration. That's why we're having a look at some of the most popular mobile games ever created. These games might have appeared on other platforms as well, but not before they were a big hit right in your pocket. Before we start, we'd like to bet that you've played at least 8 out of 10 of these. So, let's go! Here are 10 of the most famous mobile games ever created. One of the biggest franchises on mobile devices has to be Angry Birds. Sure, the series lost in popularity over the last few years, but we're pretty sure you've played the original Angry Birds or one of its many sequels and spin-offs. Think about Angry Birds 2, Angry Birds Friends, Angry Birds Transformers, Angry Birds Go, Angry Birds Space, Angry Birds Star Wars, or Bad Piggies. This mobile game even became a mediocre animated movie and a video game for modern game consoles. The first game was released in December 2009, and it became one of the most famous mobile games ever created. We don't think of mobile games as being competitive games, but Clash of Clans turned a page. Sure, it lacks the deeper politics of Clash of Kings and isn't as real-time as Clash Royale, but it did set the benchmark for strategy MMO tower building hybrids on mobile platforms. You build your base, gather resources, build your army and attack other people, all whilst trying to defend yourself. Of course, you can work together with other players and form a clan. Here's where the game gets competitive. Help out, be active, defend your brothers and your brothers will defend you. And perhaps wreck some noobs along the way. Maybe your parents used something they call pen and paper. It produced a very ugly font and had crappy graphics. They even made up a game using those tools called Pictionary. But kids of the smartphone generation got something so much better. Draw something. A word would appear on screen and we'd draw it using our own chubby fingers. And then someone else would guess what we'd drawn. You could earn points doing so. Draw Something was so popular it might have even convinced your parents to replace that trusty old cell phone. The game won awards for being the best social game out there. Besides Angry Birds, there haven't been that many mobile games that were character-driven, but Cut the Rope surely was. This was a physics-based puzzle game in which you needed to make sure the cute main character Om Nom got his candy. Over the year, the game had been downloaded hundreds of millions of times on multiple platforms. And of course, the game grew into a small series with a sequel and several spin-offs. Cut the Rope became so popular that even Disney tried to cash in on the character-driven puzzle game hype with their game, Where's My Water? And Om Nom? He apparently liked the idea as he copied Disney and became the lead character in his own YouTube animation series. How's that for a plot twist? The next game on our list was so popular last summer, every television station and newspaper was talking about it. Of course, we're on about Pokemon Go. This location-based alternate reality adventure game got millions of people out of their homes and into the park. This sometimes resulted in ridiculous scenarios. But let's not go into that right now. Pokemon Go was the game to play, and even if you claim to be a hater, you have to admit that you downloaded the game so you could at least see what the fuss was all about. Walking around town capturing virtual Pokemon sounds silly to you? So does sitting on your butt catching virtual Pokemon. Slicing fruit with the sharpest knife in your kitchen might end up being a very messy activity for your Sunday afternoon, but Fruit Ninja solved this problem for you. In this mobile game, you had to slice up fruit for points. Make no mistakes, slice all the fruit on screen and your score would go up. After a few mistakes, or when the time is up, the game would be over and you set your score. Fruit Ninja really had that "let me try this just one more time" vibe, as we would always give it one more shot to get that high score. The game spawned several versions of the same principle on a variety of platforms, including Kinect and PlayStation Vita. But the true home of Fruit Ninja is your smartphone, and over 1 billion people would agree. Endless running games are a given nowadays, but when Temple Run launched in 2011, they were still a novelty. In this game, you need to embark on an adventure while collecting treasures and avoiding obstacles. You would never reach that temple because this is an endless runner. The game would just end when you walk off a cliff. The original game, its sequel, and a couple of Disney spin-offs have been downloaded over 1 billion times now. You're one of them, right? And besides all the copycats on the market, there have been some talks about creating a Temple Run movie. But now the hype is gone, we doubt this will ever really happen. Of course, we can't make this list without the smartphone game that even your mum is addicted to. Yes, we're talking about Candy Crush. This Match 3 game didn't invent the subgenre of puzzle games, but it did give the Match 3 puzzle game genre a gigantic boost in popularity. If you thought making a puzzle game about matching candies with other candies was doomed to fail, you were so wrong. Candy Crush made the Match 3 genre popular, and it's also what the entire gaming company King is built on. After Candy Crush Saga came games like Pet Rescue Saga, Diamond Digger Saga, Hero Super Saga, Farm Hero Saga, and so on. People have a hunger for these Match 3 games, and Candy Crush is what started it all. Plants vs. Zombies did a lot for the tower defense game, but this game became popular on PC before it became a hit on mobile as well. That's why we prefer to look at Fieldrunners. In this tower defense game, you need to place turrets to force enemies into taking a different route. Different turrets and an upgrading system help to build a better defense system against the invading army. This game started out as an iOS exclusive, but it was later ported to Android, PSP, Nintendo DSi, Steam, and a lot of other platforms. It will come as no surprise that Fieldrunners got a sequel, which included more diversity in towers and enemies. Fieldrunners is a true tower defense classic.
I put a spell on you.
And the same can be said about Kingdom Rush. But this tower defense game did things a little differently. Kingdom Rush has you placing turrets in an empty lot alongside a predetermined path. You can then use 4 different towers which help you destroy enemy forces, each in their own special way.
To battle!
And of course there are towers that can be upgraded as well. Kingdom Rush spawned a sequel called Kingdom Rush Frontiers, and a prequel called Origins. With its unique medieval art style and challenging gameplay, Kingdom Rush is a game you should have played if you own a smartphone or tablet. So, how many of these games did you play? Were we right? Did you play at least 8 out of 10? And there are still so many mobile games that deserve to be mentioned here. Think about Real Racing, Tiny Tower, Jetpack Joyride, Infinity Blade, and Game of War. Let us know which games you think should be on this list. Be sure to follow us on social media and hit that like button if you enjoyed this video.